I don't know if you said this publicly, but are you putting out, like, are you working on an album right now?
All right. Shit. All right, this is what I'm going to say, bro.
All right.
I have... All right. At any given moment, bro, I have albums. So there's albums.
This guy said albums, plural.
Yeah.
So there's multiple in just...
There's multiple.
In the vault, you have a few albums ready to go.
Absolute. And I learned that from Prince. Prince, there's a great interview where Prince says, artists, keep 5 in the vault. Just keep 5 at any given moment. Now, am I gonna put them? I'm not gonna put out all 5 albums. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. So, are you saying you have 5 in the vault at any given time?
I have enough material, at least, for 5.
TOBi, my brother.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to the crib, man.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming by. We were just catching up before we were rolling.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the first time that I ever interviewed you.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been, I think, 2018.
Wow. 6 years.
6 years ago. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's the first time that I interviewed you.
It makes sense to me.
And we went out to Scarborough to a studio that you were working out of at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time we connected. And fast forward today, bro, and like not a long window.
Yeah.
5-6 years it's a good amount of time, but it's also, when you look at someone's achievements and what you've been able to do in that 5-6 years, is wild, bro.
Wow. Yeah.
It's wild.
It's beautiful.
Let me see if I could get this straight. When I first interviewed you the very first time, I didn't need to do this.
Right.
Now you have all these accolades, so I'm like, here, let me see if I could list these off properly, okay? 4 times Juno Award-winning artist.
Right.
SOCAN Award-winning for the Black Music Award. Long listed for a Prism Prize. Long listed for the 2024 Polaris Music Prize. But you were also actually shortlisted for your last album, Elements Volume 1. You were also shortlisted for a Polaris Prize.
Right.
And as I was saying to you before we started, within the hour, the Polaris Music Prize will be announcing their shortlist for this year.
Wow.
So I'm hoping while we're having this conversation, we're going to have a little celebratory moment.
I hope so too.
But that's dope, bro.
Thank you.
To see that growth in the last 5 years, incredible, man. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, man. The first interview that we ever did was in Crockford Boulevard.
That's right.
In my boy's studio, Nate Smith. And when you read these to me right now, it's like when I first got in the studio with Nate and we did my first project, FYI, the only thing that was on my mind was I need to get out of this full-time job that I'm doing right now. That was the only thing on my mind. So to now look back and, time has passed, right? It's like that was my primary objective, just to be a full-time artist. That's it. And everything else, icing on the cake.
At the time, what job were you doing? Because I know you did a lot of... I think you were working out of like a mental health center at a time, right? Is that the job that you were working on at the time?
That's what I was doing. Yep, I was working at a treatment center. It's called Youthdale Treatment Center, and it's based in Midtown, like
Annex.
DuPont Annex area.
Yeah.
So I was working there full time, and I'd done a whole bunch of jobs before that, bro. Any job you could think of, I had done it at that point. But that was the one where I was like, yo, after this, no more.
I think that's and I'll actually get you to speak on this, because that's a transition point that so many creatives, whether you're a musician, whether you're a painter, whatever kind of art you create, you go from it being a passion for this is something I love to do, but I wish I could get paid for this and live off this.
Right.
How did you, or what advice would you give to someone that's in that position? What any creativity, any kind of art form?
Yeah, I think as an artist, there's this fork in the road where you decide whether you want to be a hobbyist or you want this to be your way of feeding yourself and feeding your family. And once you reach that fork in the road, it's the most difficult decision to make, but ultimately I think it's the most rewarding because you start to look at life from a different lens and a different perspective. Like, at least for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. I think about the value of $1 consistently because I know what it's like when I was like, yo, I actually only have $500 left. How much of this am I gonna put towards recording time with Nate, and how much am I gonna put towards other stuff? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like bills. So that's when the entrepreneur like mind comes from. And you know, I think artists are some of the best entrepreneurs because we're able to use our resources to make something that didn't exist before into something tangible that people can enjoy and just listen to. So I do think that artists who are at that fork in the road and want to see themselves as creative entrepreneurs, like, yo, study actual entrepreneurs for real. Like, study creatives, but also study entrepreneurship for real because it's important. You know, I don't believe in broke, starving artists. I just don't believe in that. It's not the move.
Bro, that's powerful because I think a lot of creatives focus on the art. And it's beautiful to focus on the process and how to create your art, how to get better at your art. But there's so many talented people, I'm sure you know, I know, that will never make it. And it's not because the talent isn't there. It's because the business acumen isn't there, or it's because the network isn't there. They haven't put in the time to grow in other areas outside of that one art form.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's crucial.
It's so crucial. Marketing, you know? Like, you know, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? You know, it's like the impact of the tree falling, you could feel it because there's like the physical impacts of it. But if nobody can take it in, what was the purpose of it? You know what I'm saying?
Facts, man.
Otherwise, I could just be like playing music, you know, like in the basement just for fun. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, that's not what I wanted for myself. And, you know, some of the greatest musicians, like you said, are like jazz players that are in their 80s.
Right.
That like have never put out a record on DSPs or CD or tape or whatever. But they just play every day. But they may also be fulfilled. They may also be like, yo, I never wanted to blow. You know, I'm good having my job that feeds my family and playing this guitar at nighttime.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think you just got to ask yourself, what do you want? What life do you want for yourself?
To each their own. Everyone's goals are different. It looks different for everybody. But for those who want to make it or maybe even be in a similar position to you, where now in Canada, you're a known artist, bro. People now know the name TOBi. Back from like 5 years ago when we first talked, you were starting. Now people know who you are, bro.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's beautiful.
People looking to get to that level. I think the other thing that is not really spoken about a lot is how to be honest with yourself. There's a lot of artists who are passionate, really want to make it, but maybe they don't got it. That's the other thing.
Right.
How did you get to the point where you were like, nah, I got it, and I know that I can use this skill to make it?
Yeah.
And you might look at someone else and be like, there's a lot of artists that hit me up too, and they're like, yo, and I'll listen to their music, and I'm like, it's not there yet. And maybe it never will be there, you know? I don't know.
Word.
So
that's beautiful though, to be like, yo, it's not there yet.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, if I go through my entire discography of every song that I've ever recorded and I played you every song, there's a bunch of them that you'll be like, yo, this is not it. Absolutely. Because, it's like going to the gym and putting up shots. You know what I mean? Like the best, basketball player of all time, their field goal percentage is like 50%. You know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be misses, and you got to be honest with yourself, right? That this is a miss. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a shit ton of misses. I just don't put it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nobody's heard them. Actually, people have heard them, but people that I trust, right?
Of course. You get the feedback from your inner circle. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that feedback is critical. People who can pull you aside and be like, yo, bro, this is not it. It's not. And we're not trying to upset you. We're not trying to, damage your ego. But bro, objectively, this ain't it. And as an artist, you gotta be able to tap in with your circle and be like, okay, I hear that. What could make this better? Iron sharpens iron.
I love that. There's a trust there, and I think also for a lot of artists who might be listening, surround yourself with honest people that will give you honest opinions. That goes a long way. And maybe that's all it is. Surrounding yourself with the right people so that you know how to improve or where to improve. Right?
Straight up.
Coming from TOBi, legend.
Fam, honestly, bro, I have so many people around me that are so unafraid to say how they feel about my art that it's like, I love that. You know what I'm saying?
Is it too much sometimes to the point where you're like, I still will veto this decision. Like everyone's saying this is not it, but I feel in my heart this is it, so I gotta move with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the inner compass is the strongest form of direction. So that part is like, it's undeniable.
Right.
However, from a taste standpoint, to me it's about taste. If I trust your taste, it's like, okay, let's move it this way. You know what I'm saying? Let's try this piece, because ultimately music is a collaborative effort. Some of the greatest musicians that I know, they made the songs with other people. The Beatles, Michael Jackson, he had Quincy, Stevie Wonder, Anderson .Paak with the Free Nationals, Daniel Caesar with Matthew Burnett, Jordan Evans. It's like having those people around you that have that taste, and they know you too. They know you intimately.
Right.
So if you do something that's like, this isn't really you, you know what I mean? You're reaching. It's good to have that feedback.
Yeah. You brought up Daniel Caesar. I had a great conversation with Daniel Caesar a while back, and I remember we talked about the impact of the Grammy Award on his win, because he said he wanted so early in his career. First album, puts it out, wins a Grammy. So for him, he was like, I don't know where to go from here, because I won something that I thought was going to take me years to win, right? And I think I look at you now, and like we were saying, in Canada, you got a lot of the big accolades. So what are you shooting for now? I mean, you're still young. You're still a young artist. You still have your entire career. What are you shooting for now? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think when it comes to like accolades, I've never really thought about that. I've never really said like, yo, I want to get this award. You know what I'm saying? I've always said to myself, I want to create something that is better than the last thing that I did. That's basically it. You know what I'm saying? And, from this conversation that we're talking about now, would I want a Grammy at some point in my career? Absolutely. Because that's like a form of recognition for your art that just shows that you're in this league. So, and do I think that I've put out music that's actually deserving of a Grammy already? I do think so. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, as far as accolades, I don't know if I really like think about them that much, because to me that's the icing on the cake. The cake is the art. You know what I'm saying? It's the body of work, and everything that comes out of that, give thanks.
Well said, man. I like that. That's the accolades are the frosting on the cake, but the meat and potatoes is the cake itself, right?
Absolutely. I remember when we were in the weeds of making Panic, the album.
Right.
And like I was listening back to, let's say I was listening back to like version 15 versus version 1 of a song. And I would sit down with Alex Goose.
Right.
And I'd be like, bro, did you even remember that this is what it sounded like at first? And we both forgot. We both forgot because we were so involved in the process and just like stripping things and just getting to the core of the message that we wanted to put out in the work, that once we finished it and we sent it in for mixing and mastering, I was like, yo, this is the best day ever. Because it's like, yo, we actually saw this thing through and we didn't compromise. It's beautiful.
Let's look back at Panic. Now that it's had a minute to breathe, people have had a minute to take it in, soak it in. It's won accolades and stuff, and it's a body of work that's out in the ether now. When you look at it, how do you feel about it now that you've had time to sit with it with a public perspective on it? How do you feel about it?
I think it is one of the best bodies of work to come out in the last 10 years.
Ooh.
And I think that I'm not going to stop pushing it because I love it so much. I'm not going to stop. Like, it's been, 8 months since I dropped it? Maybe 9 months? Yeah, to me, it's still super fresh. Like, I'm going to be pushing this for the next 3 years.
Bro, I remember when we sat down in LA and we talked about it. We grabbed a burger, we hung out, and we talked about it. And at the time, I had just listened to it. And I remember thinking, because you were telling me beforehand too, you were like, it's going to slap, bro. It's going to slap. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of anticipation. And I heard it. And it's one of those where you almost got to hear it in order as a body of work. I like doing that with all albums, but this one in particular has that vibe. It's like a full project from to back.
Absolutely.
So when I took it in, I was like, this guy wasn't lying. This slaps. But you never know if it's just the way you feel and how it's going to be publicly received.
Absolutely.
But publicly, bro, that was bumping. Like, that album was bumping. So I'm really happy for you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You held up your word. There was bangers on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the conversation we had last time too was along some of the challenges you had early that you were figuring out, like sampling, clearing some of the samples. Talk to me about that, and because I know you must be working on new stuff now, and how those learnings are coming into your new work.
Yeah, brother. The samples was tough. I got to be honest. And if I could go back in time, I'd probably still include the samples because it's a piece of history, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it helps to tell the story. I think what I would have done differently is get in front of the sample clearing process like way before. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I learned. Is just, I was so focused on the creative, the admin side, it kind of took its time. And I think going forward, like, I'm not touching a sample unless I know that I can clear it ASAP. You know what I mean? Right. Because I do think sampling is important. I think it helps to bridge generations.
I agree.
And, especially if you're sampling like the master recording, you're getting the raw essence of what they did 40 years ago on this new record. It's like time travel. It's magical.
With your own stamp on it, which is what makes it beautiful. I think sampling it goes hand in hand with hip hop culture. We've been sampling from the very beginning, right? I agree. Like, I would still love to hear your work with samples. Like, I think that's dope. But it's good to hear that you've taken learnings from your last project. That's what any good artist does, anyone in any field, is like you learn from things that were challenges, right? What was the biggest challenge in terms of clearing samples? Like, what was the sample that was hardest to clear?
The hardest one, I think it was Hoodwinked. So Hoodwinked, the samples, this artist named Faye Lufsky. I think she's from like Belgium or like some European country,
right,
or Netherlands, and we just couldn't get in contact with them because it's like an old song, and we just didn't know who owned the rights to the song, so it was just tough to get a hold of them.
That's a challenge in itself, because now you have to like the admin becomes researching
Exactly.
who made this, who's responsible for this,
and who owns the rights. Because sometimes the artist, well, not even sometimes, a lot of times the artist doesn't even own the
publishing,
rights.
right? Yeah.
Especially back in those days. It could be some random dude in Iowa,
Right.
some random label. So, man, I learned a lot, bro, when it comes to like IP, the ownership of, of who are the rights holders,
How does that impact your own IP and your wanting to have ownership over your music? These are all things I'm sure you think about all the time.
Yeah, now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, as somebody who I'm self-taught musically, period. I never learned how to play music. I never learned how to read sheet music. My music industry knowledge is literally from podcasts, books by Donald Passman, and Ray Daniels online. So it's been a lot of trial and error, and just learning about rights from people in the industry as I've been coming up. I know how integral it is to have ownership in your rights, because these are things that last past your recording days, past your performing days. And, if you decide to have children, these are things that you want to pass down to your kids. Right? So, that's the toughest thing, is when you learn that an artist is, 70 years old, 80 years old, and they own no piece of their music, the work that they put in when they were in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Like, that's disheartening to hear. The good thing is, at least from what I'm seeing right now, is a lot of contracts nowadays are more like lenient. They're more equitable. They're more fair. You know what I'm saying? And they don't own all your rights altogether. You know what I mean? And I think Canada actually does a good job of educating artists and songwriters.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's really great to hear, man. From what I know, there's a lot of progress being made within record labels and DSPs and a bunch of stuff, but it's constantly changing.
Right.
There's always more education that needs to be put in, especially as technology evolves and changes too, right? How are you finding, I saw you just pressed a vinyl. Right?
Yeah.
Vinyl looks like you had a conversation with the gentleman who's like pressed the vinyl for you, right? I was like, this guy TOBi's trying to take my job. This guy's doing interviews, bro. I'm like, holy.
Nah, that's all you, bro. That's all you. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight this particular person and the company because I love what they're doing.
It was dope. I took in a little bit of it before you came in today. And it's a great conversation, even just to hear about the sustainability, what kind of plastics they're moving away from and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, it's really informative.
Absolutely.
So your vinyl is pressed on sustainable, it's like sustainable, like pressing. Is that correct?
Yeah, they use this. And the wildest thing is since I did it, I've learned so much about the process.
Right. So
it uses this thing called PET, which is a recyclable plastic. And they put it in an injection mold, and basically the reason why it's more sustainable than the regular vinyl, which is PVC, is the mold is like this, right? You press it like this. The only piece of waste is the middle of the vinyl, because the whole
they cut out.
Right. That's the only piece of waste.
Wow.
Otherwise, the previous way was with this thing called PVC. They would trace it, right? They would trace the shape of the vinyl, and the waste would be all the extra things on the side.
Super wasteful.
It's a pretty wasteful process. But I was talking to bro, and he was like, yo, I'm not even trying to shit on, the record makers, because that's what they know. You only know what you know. But he was saying with this company, They just want to change. They just want to change the process and make it more sustainable in the future, because there will be an even more sustainable version than what they're doing right now. You can always get better. You can always be more efficient.
Right.
So, that's just basically what I'm learning.
It's great to hear that that's even something you're considering, bro. It's like you're looking at pressing vinyl, which is already cool in itself, but you're looking at the best way to do it, the most sustainable way to do it.
Absolutely.
So that's great, bro. I'm gonna pick one up 100%.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get you to sign it for me too.
I got you.
Dope, bro.
I got you.
Appreciate that.
We'll figure it out, but I got you.
Dope, brother.
Yeah.
The last time we actually got together for a really great conference. It was a mental health panel that we did. Shout out Saint of the Saint. He put that together. And the mental health conference, I walked away from that feeling reinvigorated in terms of even the approach of how to look at things like social media, which are just part of the everyday norm now. It was you, Savannah Ray. There was a bunch of other great people on the panel, but I especially was moved by some of your answers because of how real you were. And I wanted you to share some of those today for everybody who's watching. One of the topics that came up was, how do you deal with social media today, right? In terms of like the pressures and the anxiety that comes with social media. And the younger people are, the more they're having problems coping with social media as well. So I don't think we're being taught in schools like how to deal with social media and the anxiety that comes with it. So I would love for you to speak on that today and like share your opinion and your thoughts on that.
Man, listen, yo. How I feel about social media, whoo! I feel a lot of things, bro. I feel a lot of things. And a lot of it are bad things. I gotta be honest with you. Like, I'm gonna start with the positive. I think it's positive and beautiful that we can connect with people all over the world at the same time. That's beautiful. I can literally talk to somebody in Turkey right now if I really want to.
Right.
Beautiful. So with that being said, nobody should feel alone because you can have your community online. Beautiful. My beef is with the way they built it, the infrastructure, the design of it. They literally built this thing and they did not tell us how it works, the long-term effects psychologically, they didn't tell us, and the tools that they use to keep us on there. Dopamine reward cycle. They didn't tell us that.
Right.
How to tell when something is real and when something is fake. How to tell when it's been altered. You know what I'm saying? And you're constantly in an arena where you're under the public gaze. Do you know what I'm saying?
Public scrutiny all the time. Yeah.
That can't be normal. Like,
no.
Like human beings, one of our top fears is public speaking. We tense up when we're in the midst of other people and we feel judged when we're performing. Social media is literally that all the time.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me personally, I'm a grown man, but I came into social media when I was like 13, which is crazy to think about. That was the first time I had a MySpace.
Right.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I forgot MySpace. Yeah, MySpace.
Man, I've been on social media for half my life.
Yeah.
And
think about the new kids that are born into social media. From the moment they're born, their parents got the cameras out. Like, the whole birth is on social media. That's different, bro. This is almost a generation that I want you to speak to, because as adults, you and I are finding it challenging to cope with, but we still remember a time prior to social media, right? There's a new generation, my niece and all these younger people that they were born with social media from the jump. So it's different the way that they process things.
Different, bro. Different. Personally, I just wish there was some sort of like committee that was literally put together to help with social media literacy for young people they have no choice. They're born into it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
To teach them, yo, this is what this means. This is what this means. This is how likes affects your brain. This is how the roulette of scrolling down affects your brain. Like, what are we talking about here, man?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? This is why, like, I feel so much for young kids nowadays, because they just coming into this world that they have no idea what's going on. They just here.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to like police. It's a hard thing to build rules around, because at the end of the day, it's personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for someone who has discipline, they might say, I'm only going to allow myself to be on social media 30 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. Somebody might do that. But for someone who lacks that discipline, they might be on 5 hours a day. Right? And the damage it's doing is going to be profound.
Absolutely.
Again, like you said, we don't have all of the data right now, but it's coming. And I guarantee it's probably not going to be healthy for the people who spend more time on it.
There's no way. They were advertising smoking cigarettes as a health benefit 70 years ago.
Right.
And then they found out it increased lung cancer. And then they started doing commercials to curb cigarette usage.
Right.
Come on. Public safety has always come behind advertising. Always. It always has. And I don't want to sound like that dude who's like critiquing everything, but it just is what it is. Mm-hmm. I have to.
Yeah. It's like you said, there's good and bad, and that's also part of living in a capitalist society, right? There's good things, mm-hmm. right? But there's also, at the end of the day, you know what's primary and what's going to come first mm-hmm. is making dollars. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to come first in this kind of society. So it's good to have these conversations.
Please.
You know?
We do.
Yeah.
Please, because... Yeah. And that's what I love about social media, is when we have these kind of conversations, the authenticity of it, I feel like that's my favorite part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see somebody today who's living with, I'm just thinking of something random right now. Like an autoimmune disease, mm-hmm. and they're being upfront and personal about their autoimmune disease on their social media page.
Right.
If I'm living with that similar disease, suddenly I'm not alone. I could connect with somebody who's feeling that, and maybe I can learn some habits to change for myself.
Absolutely.
So, I don't want to, throw the baby out with the bathwater, or however the saying goes. I'm not anti-social media.
Right.
I just think there should be more safety measures in place for kids.
I agree. I'm with you on that. That being said, a big part of what we discussed that day was things like therapy. Mm-hmm. And it was great to hear you, Four Corners, and other people just talk about what works for you as a tool. Mm-hmm. I walked away from there thinking like, damn, I need therapy, bro.
Well, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah,
I was like, yo, I'm trying this. You know what I mean? So let's talk about it. How has therapy worked for you? Is it something you recommend? How should somebody first explore therapy?
Yeah, therapy for me, it was difficult at first, because me even saying, yo, I'm going to therapy, it validates the condition that you need it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because then you can't deny it anymore. You can't be like, oh, I'm good. You know what I mean? Because because I can self-soothe with alcohol or weed. Right. I can keep doing that. But to the whole world, I'm fine. But nah, the moment where you reach that breakdown point and you say, and I said, yo, I can't keep doing this. Like, I need like a sustainable program. I need something sustainable. That's when I was like, my back was to the wall. I was at like rock bottom, and I was like, I have to do this. And it was like the best decision that I've ever made in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, easily the best decision I've ever made in my life. It sucks that I had to reach like a crisis point for that to happen, but you can't everybody gets to that point whichever way they do.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was the best thing that I ever did. It helped me become a better person.
Are you still doing it? Are you doing it consistently, or is it something you did for a period of time and it helped you and you were able to move on? How did you pursue it?
I think there was a point in my life where I needed it like intensely, and that's when I was going through. I was going like every week for a number of months, and then I started scaling back, easing off. And then now I just like check in twice a year. You know what I'm saying? There's this great program that I was using called Mind Beacon, and it was actually I think it was like a subsidized program in some way online. And basically what it was is it's like self-directed, so you just do it yourself. There's like prompts and questions and things that you ask yourself, and then if you need more assistance, they would assign somebody to you. And that's one that I vouch for.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's a great tool. But on that note, I wanted to also talk about some of the work that you've done within the space of like mental health and working with youth. I know that you've been an advocate for that too. And we were just talking about it before you got into music full time. It was your job. So like, the space really well. You know what the Canadian government offers to youth as a programming. You've worked with people like my guy Randell at Rise. Like you've done a lot of work in that space, which is dope.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about what it's been like working in the community with youth and in the city of Toronto. What's that experience been like for you? What were some of the biggest takeaways?
The biggest takeaway for me is that social workers are some of the most important people in society, and they're often undervalued and underpaid. But a social worker, to me, is such a crucial part of how society functions, because they have to understand psychology of the individual. They have to understand chemistry if they're taking pharmaceuticals, you know what I mean?
Oh, wow, right.
Pills. They got to understand biology. And also, they got to understand law. They need to understand, have a decent understanding of the legal framework, because a lot of these youth are crowned wards. Maybe they don't live with their parents anymore. Some of them are young offenders, so they're in the youth justice system, and social workers have to like integrate all of these experiences and develop a case plan.
Wow.
That takes into account all these different factors, and how do we help this individual become a thriving member of society and move them away from youth justice system, move them away from shelter system. It's a complicated job.
Yo, seriously, shout out the social workers, man.
Absolutely.
Wow, bro. I knew that that's what the job consisted of, but when you break it down like that, I'm like, yeah, you need to have a thorough understanding of all these moving parts to make this one role work. Wow. So was that your title? Were you a social worker?
I was a child and youth worker.
Okay.
And which is a subset of a social worker, but it's not as robust as a social worker. Do you know what I'm saying? Like as a child and youth worker, you need to understand those things for sure, but sometimes your role is more linear. Like maybe all you need to focus on is helping a youth that lives with ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. Those are youth that live with that. They struggle to take direction. They struggle to take. They struggle to bow down to authority. So you can't tell a youth that has ODD, do this for your well-being. They're like, nah, fuck no, fuck you. Like, I don't give a fuck about you, whatever. And then to you, you're like, yo, like, what's going on? But you got to realize that there's things going on, right?
their perception of consequences is very different than like somebody else, right? They don't care about consequences.
Nah, they don't give a fuck. They don't care.
So that job sounds challenging.
Yeah, it is very challenging, and that's why I think that they're undervalued, because they're literally dealing with that every day. You know,
but it must be rewarding when you know you make change, positive change to help somebody, right?
Absolutely, and that's the best part. When you see somebody, you know, when they come in at 13 and they leave at 16, and you're like, do you remember when you used to do this? And they're like, no, I was always a good kid. It's like, okay, all right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, fam. But
not what I remember.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man, it's a very, very rewarding job, because you can see the growth in real time if things go according to plan.
Right. Mm-hmm. So this is what's beautiful, because I'm very familiar with your music. We've had a lot of conversations, and you've always struck me as someone who's conscious, like you're a thoughtful person, and even the job that you were in, it requires someone who's thoughtful. Mm-hmm. Now, when I think about the job, and I've heard you explain it, I'm like, that seems to me like it somewhat has informed your music, and at least in some capacity, like there's some kind of bridge there.
Absolutely.
Would you say that? Like, how has that previous work informed your music today?
I think, you know, when I was working with different youth, and even sometimes adults, because I was in a role where I was actually working with adults too.
The parents, or just adults in general?
Just adults in general.
I see. Okay.
And sometimes, I was younger than the clients that I was working with. And that was a trippy experience for me, because I was like, yo, we're literally like all in this together. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're literally all in this together. You know what I mean? Like, let's say, for instance, right? Let's say somebody is going through, you know, the system, the youth system, and it doesn't work out. You know, it's a case where they weren't successfully intervened on. Yo, that person could end up in the criminal justice system 5 years later, 10 years later. They were just that kid that was going through a rough time. Now they're an adult that's going through a way rougher time.
Right.
So I think musically, for me, like, when I tell stories about things that aren't necessarily even about me, is because I'm drawing from those experiences. And I'm realizing that, like, in order for us to have like a function in society, everybody has a role to play. And for me as an artist, I think part of my role is to help bring attention to certain things. Bring attention and help liberate people through thought. And that's it. If that's all I could do, shit, that's it.
That's incredible, man. Because it's important, but you're able to take your learnings and infuse them into what you're creating today. So in some capacity, you're still bringing that energy into the world, bro, which is incredible. That's dope, bro.
Thank you.
I rate it.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to quickly chat about, I had this conversation with Roy Woods around mental health as well. Mm-hmm. Something that he brought up to me was around growing up in a Guyanese home, or just in a Caribbean home, and not being able to have discussions with his parents that he felt comfortable with around mental health. And that's something I think about, because I grew up in Scarborough. I'm Latino, right? I grew up a Spanish-speaking home. It was different. So wow. When you're trying to navigate as an immigrant, someone that comes from a different cultural background, and you don't feel like you can relate to your parents, I think that alone makes it challenging when you're dealing with other things at school, mental health problems. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's in that position, maybe where they feel like they don't necessarily have someone they can relate to that they feel comfortable speaking with?
At home? At home. Whew. Man, that's tough. That's tough. I would say find those people, find somebody you could trust and confide in. If it's not at home, a friend, a professional, a social worker, shout out to the social workers, you know, somebody that you can just bare your heart out to, that's gonna keep it safe. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important, because our parents, you know, they mean well, but if they just don't get it, they don't get it. You know what I mean? At the very least, this is what I would even say to parents. If your child is going through something and you don't understand what it is, at the very least, show compassion. Even if you don't understand, show compassion.
Bro, that's great advice. I think that in itself would make the world of a difference. If when the child approaches the parent, rather than shaming them, has more of an open approach. Even if they don't agree in the moment, but it's like, let me go do some research myself before I get back to this kid, right?
Absolutely.
I think you nailed it. I think that's a great approach too, bro. On that note, since we've filled everybody with knowledge,
let's get it.
In terms of new music, I know you've been putting out new music, bro. You've been keeping busy, bro. Holy. Let's talk about new music. So you put out a new single recently. I've been bumping it. It's a good summer jam, bro. Tell me about that. Tell me about the collab. Tell me how it came to be.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was just a fun one. When I was on tour in February, I believe, or March. So we had some Europe dates. I was on tour with Mick Jenkins, and we were in London for like 2 days. So I hit up this artist, Koji Radical. I was like, yo, you trying to get in the studio? He was like, hell yeah. Like, cause people have been messaging me for years, like, yo, you got to work with Koji. You know what I'm saying?
Had you guys met before? No. Again, this is the beautiful part of social media, right?
Yeah. So DMs, we've done DMs like here and there. But yeah, I just hit him up. We booked a session. My boy Nick Ferraro was in town at the perfect time, and that was the first beat that we heard. We loved it, and we did the record.
Sounds like it came together quick and easy.
Absolutely.
That's fire, bro. Honestly, it's a fire track, bro. No video, nothing like that coming for it?
I mean, he's in the UK, so like we could try and do a remote thing. But I actually did a little video for it with this group called the 97.
Yeah, the 97. Yeah. Dragon.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Yeah.
So we did a video for it, but it's just my part though.
Okay.
It's not Koji's part, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm put that out next week.
Okay, fire, bro. I'm excited to see that. And shout out Dragon and the 97. Those guys are dope too.
Yeah, they put in work.
Yeah, they're good. I don't know if you said this publicly, but are you putting out are you working on an album right now?
All right. Shit. All right, this is what I'm gonna say, bro.
All right.
I have all right. At any given moment, bro, I have albums. So there's albums.
This guy said albums, plural.
Yeah.
So there's multiple in just.
There's multiple.
In the vault, you have a few albums ready to go.
Absolute. And I learned that from Prince. Prince. There's a great interview where Prince says, artists, keep 5 in the vault. Just keep 5 at any given moment. Now, am I gonna put them? I'm not gonna put out all 5 albums. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. So, are you saying you have 5 in the vault at any given time?
I have enough material, at least, for 5. At least. You know.
But they're not conceptualized and like sculpted into projects right now.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, some are. Yeah, absolute.
Wow.
Of course, some are more like loose. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You know, some have a clear sonic direction. You know what I mean? At the very least. So, bro, honestly, I'm just trying to understand the landscape right now. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like sometimes even an album is not the move. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
Like sometimes people aren't waiting for an album right now.
We've seen, it's interesting because over the last, decade or so, we saw the rise in just singles. People just dropping singles. So it's that decision of, do you stay on the single train or do you drop a full project?
Right. And I think that's where the intention comes into play, right? Because if I'm going to drop an album, I'm not going to drop an album of Lucy's. I'm going to drop something that has a clear direction sonically and thematically. You know what I'm saying? So I have a couple that I'm like, yo, I feel really good about this. But, I don't know, it might not come out for years or ever, to be honest, because there's a preciousness personally that I feel with albums. Yeah.
So we saw you just drop this single, banger for the summer. I think you dropped that at the right time, right feel. So I'm assuming then, because you're sitting on so much material, you're still going to release things in waves.
Absolutely.
Right? Probably a single here, maybe an album there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
But for sure singles will be coming out.
Absolutely.
And
like free and expressive.
So there's no cadence even for it. You don't have or do you have in mind like, I might be dropping something every month, every 2 months?
Maybe every 2. Yeah, I think so. Cuz like I want to give it space to breathe as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like to work it, for DJs to get it, or even just, for people to sit with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but one thing that I am doing though is even with the singles, there's a aesthetic consistency, like facts, like all the cover arts are going to be in the same world, the same visual language, because I think that's important. Even if the 2 songs sound like they're very different, there needs to be some sort of like visual cohesion. Yeah.
I see that. And I see that in all the work you do. There's always a lot of intention behind it. That's something I want to chat with you about actually, is strategy, intention. But I've heard you say previously, like there was this great interview that I saw you do. I'm forgetting where I saw it or where I read it. But you said something about like everything that you do, you want to put out with intention, because once it's on the internet, it's like up there forever.
For life, yeah. Right?
So in today's world where, again, going back to social media and like the demand for content, the demand for music and releases, how do you navigate that now? Like how do you prioritize still quality in a world like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we live in a world right now where it's like it feels insatiable. Like you can always do more. But I think quality still reigns king, And listen, even if you are in the quantity game and that's like your MO, still make it hot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like still show me that you cared. You know what I mean? Still show me that you put time into this. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you can tell the difference between something that was created with love and intention versus something that was just like, all right.
You could tell.
You could tell. So I don't ever want to be in that place of creating, because then I'm like, it's like you're racing against the clock, and we're not. Like, that's not sustainable.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. So, that's why I started Panic FM, because Panic FM is my sustainable community, straight up. And it's like, I'ma feed them gourmet. You know what I mean? I'ma feed you gourmet.
It's like going to TOBi's house for dinner.
Yeah.
Get treated right.
Absolutely. I'ma feed you gourmet, because like, this is what you deserve. This is what I want to give you.
How are you finding taking people off of platforms? I think this is a challenge everybody always faces, is like people might find you on Instagram, they might find you on YouTube, and then you're like, but I want you to go check out Panic FM, right? I find this is the thing, like what all marketers want to find out. It's like drops a new product, but go to this website.
Right.
So how are you finding having your listeners, your following, your fans go to Panic FM? Are you finding it effective for you?
I think there are some strategies that work better than others. For me personally, I saw the most effective strategy was in person, like at the shows. At the shows, you know what I mean? Literally handing out pieces that people could keep. You know what I mean? Whether it's a sticker, whether it's like a little piece of memorabilia, something that, they could hold with them, that it's like, yo, you're a part of this family now.
Right.
You're part of it. So, I think to me that's been the most effective, because when you're on Instagram, you don't want to leave. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to just, even going from Instagram to like YouTube, some people don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh.
It's true. It's true.
I got to leave.
Yeah.
And Instagram kind of cock-blocked me, actually, with Panic FM, because there's this thing in the back end in the code where you can't, I forget what it's called. I don't know the technical term.
But like if people try to click on the link, it won't take them there.
Yeah, it like blocks you. It's gated. Yeah, I know. It's
interesting.
Wild. You see what I'm saying?
Interesting.
So there's those little things, you know what I mean, to keep you on there. But it's all good. If I got to do, let's take it back to the streets. How they were doing it in the 90s. Handing
out mixtapes.
Yeah, let's take it back to the streets. I have no problem taking it back to the streets. No problem, because it's real people anyways at the end of the day.
You're a boots on the ground kind of artist, and I like that. It's true, bro.
Sure.
Even the interview that I said that I saw today about the vinyl, I caught that on Panic FM.
Oh, word.
Right? So I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, TOBi has this thing where you could go to get updates on music, videos, whatever you need is all in one hub. Mm-hmm. So that's dope, bro. I checked it out. I love it. I love the design, too. Who built that for you?
It's a group called Cool World.
Okay.
Yeah, it's two guys, Real and Boyan. And, man, they are brilliant. They also work with Flatbush Zombies. I think they made one for Flatbush Zombies as well. And it just feels like a home, like a hub. Like, yo, you want to see what this artist is up to? Come check it out here. And you ain't got to worry about me trying to like use any like social media stuff. Like, it's just here, bro. It's just here. It's just vibes. It's cooling.
We got to talk about what you have coming up too, bro, because I've seen you've been putting in work. You were at the Calgary Stampede, you're in Montreal, you're like moving around.
Yeah, this weekend was wild.
I'm like, this guy's everywhere. So are there more shows coming up? What do you have coming up for the rest of the summer?
Yeah, so it's wild. I was in Quebec City. It actually got canceled.
Oh.
I was literally 2 minutes from going on stage, and they canceled it because there was a lightning. There's like a lightning warning.
It was outdoors. Yeah.
But bro, they made the right decision, because as soon as we got back to the trailer, it was like
it got hectic.
It looked wild, bro. So they made the right decision. But I got a couple more festivals this summer. I think I got one in like Sudbury next month, which is gonna be cool. I never been over there.
Yeah.
So, gonna do that. One in this place. I don't even know what the place is called, but it's somewhere in California. It's like one of those like rural mountain vibes. Yo, it's wild.
I'm gonna have to catch you out there then, bro.
I mean, if you're gonna be there, you should pull up, because it's gonna be fun.
I'll probably be. When is it?
August 3rd. Yeah.
Okay, I may or may not be. You know what? I think that's Oshiega. I think I'm gonna be at Oshiega. Am I wrong?
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I might be wrong. I caught you at Oshiega last year, though.
You did, yeah.
That was fire, bro.
That was dope.
That was really dope.
That was dope, man.
Yeah, you've been putting in work, bro. I'm really happy to see it, man.
Thank you.
I do want to ask you some rapid fire questions as well, bro.
Let's go.
Let's get into this, man. So.
I'm a little nervous. Rapid fire.
Nah. You're good with these, bro. Here, this is funny. So the last time we chopped it up, I asked you what was your island if you could take one album to an island with you, and it's hilarious because you said "Get Rich or Die Trying," and then we were like, "Yo, you'd be listening to Many Men on the Beach."
Yeah.
So, I actually caught you talk about DMX as well. So I know DMX is an artist that you used to look up to a lot. So I want to ask you if you could take a DMX album or a 50 Cent album, giving you a chance to change it up this time.
Yeah.
On an island with you forever. Which one are you taking?
Bro, I'm gonna have to still go with Get Rich or Die Trying. I'm gonna have to. I bought that album twice, bro.
What?
Yes, that's how much I loved it. And I was like 12.
That's wild, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
That's wild.
Yeah.
But DMX you have love for, though?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's dark and hell is hot.
I think at one point DMX was for sure my favorite rapper. Probably for many people. When he was at the height of his career, he's just dominating. He's incredible.
Absolute.
Did you ever get a chance to see him live? I got a chance to see him live in New York right before he passed.
Wow.
It was great, man. He still had the energy. You could tell he was a bit rough, but he still had the energy. You know, so R.I.P. X.
Every video that I've seen of DMX performing, I'm like, this guy was born for this.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Rest in peace, man.
I had Shad come in here, and I asked him if you could build a super Canadian group with you and 3 other people, who would it be?
Whoa.
And he said himself.
Yeah.
Chaos,
yeah,
Havaya,
yeah,
and you.
Wow.
So I gotta ask you about this. What do you think about this Canadian supergroup?
Bro, all right, this is what I'm gonna say. Shad has one of the best pens in the world.
Man's a great writer. Yeah.
In the world. Not just Canada. In the world. Like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's all I can say, man. Like, like, what are we talking about here?
If you guys could make a single at least together, would you guys do it? Would you jump on this track?
Absolutely.
I would love to see this, bro. What the group that he listed out was already close to what you guys did. It was you, Shad, Havaya, and Jazz Cartier.
And Jazz, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
24.
On 24. That was great, bro.
Absolute.
So to swap out Jazz for Chaos on a track, I would love to see that, man.
That'd be nuts. Oh yeah, Chaos. Like, just brilliance. His ability to sing and rap.
Much like yourself, bro. Yeah.
Man, it's beautiful. Oh, also, I'm going to say shout out to Socks, too. Socrates. Yep. Most definitely. Brilliant. And Havaya is one of the most talented people that I know. And I remember, Havaya, because I've known of her music for like almost 15 years now, which is wild.
Oh, word. You go, cause are you guys both from B-Town?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. You guys are both from Brampton. Yeah.
So, and she always was just like the hunger, the grind, man, and the talent too it's undeniable. That's just the word, undeniable. So I have a lot of respect for all those artists that were mentioned. So shout out to Shad, man.
Fire, man. I hope I see this collab. I want to see this collab.
Oh yeah, it's mandatory.
Okay, I asked Shad this. I want to ask you as well. Who would you say is the greatest rapper of all time?
Oh, come on, man. The greatest rapper of all time. Oh my God, why are we doing this? How can I answer this question? I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I can only say who my favorite is.
Okay, who's your favorite? Yeah, we'll go with your favorite. Who's your favorite?
I can only say who my favorite is, and I have to go with Black Thought.
That was in Shad too. Shad broke it down.
He gave you like the
Shad
stats.
was like, well, if you got to do a lyricist, it's got to be, Black Thought. If you got to do most creative, Andre 3000, Big Boy, Kanye.
Right.
He's like, if you got to, one in the dictionary, like best, just overall. He's like, he said, who did he say? KRS-One.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, Shad's from the older generation, so that guy's, you know, he's got it on lock. And then he said best rapper of all time, recording artist. He said Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick, eh? Yeah, I mean, that's his opinion. Personally, I don't agree. I don't agree with Kendrick being the best rapper of all time. I'm sorry, I can't give him that. And the reason why I can't give him that is because there are certain vulnerabilities that I don't personally think that Kendrick has tapped into. That's my perspective. Like,
how do you sense it?
Okay, so Good Kid, Mad City is about him as, you know, a young boy in a wild environment. And a lot of the stories are about his environment, right?
Right.
To Pimp a Butterfly, one of my favorite albums, period, of all time.
Conceptually is amazing too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not really delving into him. It's more like a societal critique, you know, talking about the black plight, black experience. And not to take away from it, it's beautiful. But I think that when I listen to, you know, what, you know, Jay-Z did from Reasonable Doubt in my lifetime, what Nas did with Illmatic, even to Life is Good as an adult, you know, there's the difference. You see 20 years has passed from his debut to Life is Good, more than 20 years. And you can see him talking about what it's like now to be an elder statesman in rap. You know, personally, I don't think Kendrick has had enough time to be considered the greatest rapper of all time, personally. I don't think so. I think there's certain perspectives I haven't heard from him yet. Hove with 444, you know what I'm saying? I've just seen the whole arc. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That's a good point, because you look at someone like Hove and you've seen him at different stages in his life, talking about different things. So the introspection, not only is it different on each album, but it might have completely changed, right?
Absolutely.
You've seen growth. That's interesting to look at it from the perspective of like growth and longevity. How long has this person been around, right?
For real.
Okay, I want to ask you about athletes. I know when you were younger, you were into soccer. You got a bit older, you got into basketball, right? If you had to pick one of the best, you could say one of the best, because I know you don't like doing like the like the best.
Well, it depends. It depends where it is.
Best Canadian athlete of all time. Who would you say? There's so many American, international great athletes, but I want to know your opinion if you could pick the best Canadian athlete.
Oh, Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, that's what comes to my mind, the great one. I can't think of anyone else.
That's marketing, bro.
Yeah, right.
That marketing was
effective.
effective.
They did a good job. So, yeah, I got to go with Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah, most definitely.
Dope, bro.
Most definitely. I do love Jerome Ginla, though. That was my guy growing up. But objectively, Wayne Gretzky.
Okay, what about international? Like any best athlete of all time that you found the most inspiring?
Muhammad Ali. For me, growing up, Muhammad Ali was like my wallpaper on my phone for years. Just because, you know, his attitude, his demeanor, his presence. Yeah. He was lucid. He was smart. You know, and he used to rap a little bit, which I love.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like in his interviews.
Like the way he used to speak. Like his cadence.
Rap. Yeah, it was rap.
Yeah, it was rap. You're right. It was rap.
Yeah.
It was rap.
So that's Muhammad Ali.
Okay, me and you, we've shared burgers. We have a mutual love for burgers.
We do.
I recently did a video that went semi-viral of the best burgers in Toronto. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people came at me.
Send me that, please.
I'll send it to you. But I got to get your opinion on this then. Where is the best burger for you when you're in the city, when you're in Toronto, and you feel like a good cheeseburger, burger? Where are you going?
That's the thing, bro. I'm not really super cultured in Toronto burger lifestyle.
Let's just say you have a craving. And you're like right now, you're like, okay, I'm done this interview. I'm going to go get a burger. Where are you going?
That's the thing. I don't even be knowing. Like, the only place that I could say that I was definitely eating from was Auntie Lucy's during the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah.
That was, I was eating from there because, you know, I rock with Chief.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the burger and the plantain, you know? But bro, I legitimately don't know. Where else?
So here, I'll give you.
Who's banging? Like,
I'll tell you right
put
now.
me on.
The spots that were banging that I came at was Burger Drops.
Okay.
Burger Drops is fire. Jabs, which is called just another burger spot, and Maddie Matheson. So
Okay.
those three were the joints that I chose. But next time we catch up, I want to know what burgers you've tried in Toronto.
Well, now that you've given me 3,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go try one today.
Run it, yeah.
I don't know which
Burger
one.
Drops was what I put at number 1.
Oh, for real?
They're like,
were
fire.
people coming at you?
They
or-
were coming at me, bro. A lot of people coming at me, bro.
I hear you.
But
I hear you.
But honestly, though, I'm a big burger fan, so I definitely want to get your opinion.
Absolutely.
When you get a chance to try them out. And the last question that I have, food related, since you couldn't give me a burger, is what's your favorite place to eat at in Toronto?
Okay,
Favorite food spot?
now we talking. I gotta go with Patois.
Okay.
Yup, Patois on Dundas and I believe Bathurst. Yeah, that's major intersection. Patois, man, hands down. I take my friends there. I love them.
What's your order? What do you get there?
Usually I get the 2 can dine special.
Okay.
I think it's 2 can dine for $99, and they just give you bare food, bro. Like, they give you rice and peas, they give you patty, they give you jerk chicken, they give you plantain, coleslaw. What else? I think there might be a dessert that comes with it too, but it's just good.
Patois is fire, bro. I've been there a couple of times. It's not too far from here, so
Yeah.
I might have to hit that up after this, bro.
Yeah, hey, bro, listen. Shout out to Patois, man. And they also have I think it's called Bar Mignonette, which is upstairs, which is like their seafood division.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm a big fan.
Dope, brother.
Yeah,
We're gonna end it on that note. Let people know where they can find you.
absolutely. You can find me everywhere. Sincerely TOBi, SincerelyTOBi, everywhere. And if you really want to get to know me for real, panic.fm.
Panic.fm, my guy, TOBi. Thank you
Yes.
for coming through, bro. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you, man.